Welcome to the channel. We're having a bit of a flap on this week. We have a customer who needs some inert ammunition for a project on the continent. They're here right now, they want to pick it up, and they effectively want to board a plane and fly with it to Europe. Now, that would have been fine once upon a time, although I think taking dummy ammunition on the plane is not necessarily a good idea. But fundamentally these days, anything within the ilk of inert ammunition requires an export license, and so that's way too much hassle for them to do it. I don't know what they've got going on. I don't know whether it's a film or it's a theatre performance or something else. All I know is they need it in a hurry. And so the only option that I have realistically is to drill a hole in the case. Now, we have covered this in one of our previous videos. I can't offhand remember what it is. I'll put the number of the video down there. But the way that it works is if you pierce, they call it the chamber in the legislation, but fundamentally it means if you pierce a hole into the case, a sizable hole, so that the inside of the case can be inspected, well then that no longer qualifies as an item that requires an export license. And they're actually, in some countries, I think in Belgium or in the Netherlands, in one of those, I think they even specify that it has to be a 2mm hole. That strikes me as a little bit extreme for something rather small, something like a 9mm or so. But I think I'll make it a slightly smaller hole. I'll go for about a mil and a half. And I think that'll look good on a rifle case. And I don't think there'll be any trouble with that. I mean, from what I understand, the people who do the inspecting really just want to make sure there isn't any powder inside the case. So I'm going to have to drill this stuff. I've been having a bit of a ponder. I think my choices realistically is to go for a drill bit. I'm not going to do that. The trouble is that the drill bit is too long, and I think I'm going to have some wobbling, you know, as you start, because the top of the case is rounded. If I were to just try drilling for that, I think there's a good chance that we get some wobble and we scratch the case and it wouldn't look very good. And the only thing I guess I could do to counter that is I could use a punch and punch the case and kind of like indent it a little bit. But I think that's too much work. So I'm currently considering using this thing here. That's called an end mill, I think. You use it for a lathe to effectively drill a hole in the rear of some metal so you can mount it on a spindle. So that the rear is kind of centered. You have some sort of pointy pin that digs into the rear of the metal in the hole that you've drilled with this thing, and you can then kind of spin it up and manipulate the metal, holding it in place in the front and the rear. Now, I'm lucky I have one of these. I think I got this... God, where did I get this thing from? I think I got this from Lidl or something like that. But see, if you have a look at it, I think it's a really short little bit. I don't think it's going to give us any washout. And I think it'll also do a little bit of flaring so that we don't end up with any sharp edges. So I think I'll try this on the pillar drill. And I'm going to work quite carefully and make sure that I have a repeatable location where the hole can go. So I think what I have these engineering clamps, and I'm quite fortunate because they have a lengthway hole. So what I can do is if I take my case and I shove it within that lengthway hole, and I then clamp them like this, then I have a cutout over here, and I think I'll drill through the case. I'll put a little hole in the case. I'll only do it on one side. I've seen inert ammunition that has it like in 3 or 4 places. The trouble with that is if this is for display or film or God knows what, they really have no way to turn it where that hole wouldn't show. And obviously, you know, they want it to be inert. They want it to be shown as inert, and they don't want to deal with the export license and just want it now. But at the same token, they want to have an angle where it looks like basically normal loaded ammunition. So that is my little project for right now. I think I'll set that up and I'll have a go. So I think we'll start with the brass. They want a brass case, so let's get that in there. So like so. And what I'll do is I'll push it level with the engineer's ring clamp, and the engineering clamp is nice and central. And then if I dial this down, that looks pretty good. I think that's repeatable. So let's drill a hole. That was pretty painless. Let's have a look at it. It might be quite wide. I think we want something a little less wide than that. Okay, so we have our drill press. I set the stop for what I think makes a pleasant enough hole. This is a 308 case. Put that in. It took a bit of dialing in. But hopefully this is now something that's repeatable. So we'll line that up to about there. I will close the clamp. And that is a really nice hole. We haven't got any sharp bits on it. We just have the beginning of the, I guess I'll call it a countersink. But that's a really nice clean hole. We have a torch. Yeah, see, I can actually see nicely all the way to the bottom. So I mean, there's no doubt this case is empty, so I don't think we'll have a problem with that. Okay, it's a matter of interest. I now have a steel case. We could try that as well. I think that'll be absolutely fine. I don't think we'll have any problems. And I think it'll be repeatable in height. I'll gauge of this side, so don't worry about that block pushing in a little bit. Like so. See, that just started to wander a little bit. But we actually have a reasonably clean hole. And I think that'll be just fine. Okay, so I think that was successful. I mean, it took a little bit of dialing in, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in this. This is all done with the same bit. But you can see if you adjust the depth, you can actually get quite different size holes. So I think if you're going to use the end mill bit like that, you really have to set the depth quite carefully and control it and use the stop on your drill press. Because see, there clearly went in much further than there. So depth is everything. That said, I think it drilled a clean hole in steel. I think it drilled a clean hole that's small and pleasant in this 308 case. And I think that's really all that's to it. I think that's my problem solved. I think I'll line them all up in the same position, roughly in the same place. We don't have any run out. We don't have any scratches on the case. I think it's very clean. I think it's a good solution. So that's that. And I'll get it done for them today. They'll hopefully have it tomorrow and then they can go home with it. And hopefully there won't be any hang-ups. So that's all from us for today. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.